He's like some troll murderer, some troll mass murderer. I mean, he's both.
So that clip is one of the reasons why I started making this kind of content. I truly despise people not talking about reality the way it should be talked about. No, Brennan Tarrant was not a troll. He was a white supremacist terrorist. Now, without further ado, here's the first episode. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of Testimony of White Supremacy, hosted by yours truly, Swa. Now, the show is not intended to cause any more division on planet Earth. I am simply aiming to bring awareness to the biggest problem facing planet Earth, which is racism, white supremacy, which is defined as a global system of people who classify themselves as white and are dedicated to abusing and or subjugating everyone in the known universe whom they classify as not white. Please also learn the expanded definition in the description below. Very important that you understand both definitions. So the first white supremacist we're going to be contextualizing is white supremacist terrorist Brennan Tarrant, who killed 51 human beings and maimed 49 others in New Zealand last year of March. Now, Brennan Tarrant killed and traumatized these people simply because the color of their skin, and he was on a mission to terrorize people whom are not white, which is case in point how white supremacy works. The people who are not white are the targets. Case in point. Now, in this manifesto, Brennan Tarrant, when asked, do these groups hold power? Who are the people in these groups? When referring to white supremacist organizations, he replies, the total number of people in these organizations in the millions. The total number of groups, the thousands. People from every walk of life and every place of employment and field, but disproportionately employed in military services and law enforcement. Unsurprisingly, ethno-nationalists and nationalists seek employment in areas that serve their nations and community. I would estimate the number of soldiers and the European armed forces also belong to nationalist groups to the number in the hundreds of thousands, with just as many employed in law enforcement positions. Now, this should be very alarming to know that there are potentially millions of people practicing white supremacy. We must eliminate this ideology in order to create a world of justice and correctness where no one is allowed to be mistreated and those who need the most help receive the most help, and there is balance in our ecosystem. However, due to the system and existence of white supremacy, white supremacists, through deceit and confusion and direct violence, have created a reality where a world of justice seems like a unachievable fantasy, but it is not. Ending white supremacy would end terrorist attacks committed by the likes of Brennan Tarrant, Dylan Roof, Timothy McVeigh, Elliot Rogers, to name a few. Nowhere on this planet should a person want, be willing to, and succeed in killing any number of people. Any number of people. Now, 51 people, this is utterly unacceptable and nothing more than a tragic, horrendous event that should never happen on planet Earth. But due to the system of white supremacy, killing is fun to white people. Through the conditioning of entertainment, they have made killing enjoyable. Now, Brennan Tarrant lists many nonsensical fallacies that motivated his attacks. He states, to show the effect of direct action, lighting a path forward for those that wish to follow, a path for those that wish to free their ancestors' lands from the invaders' grasp, and to be a beacon for those that wish to create a lasting culture, to tell them they are not alone. Despite this being absolute nonsense, it's very clearly very dangerous that he's spreading these kind of messages to other white people who may see this as something they want to participate in, who may find a sense of community among practicing white supremacists. So this is why this rhetoric is very dangerous. So when asked from this manifesto, what do you want? He says, we must ensure the existence of our people and a future for white children, end quote. Now, these sentiments are echoed daily in the system of white supremacy due to the fear that white supremacy produces, whether consciously or subconsciously. White supremacists fear genetic annihilation. White supremacists fear genetic annihilation, therefore kill and subjugate non-white, especially black people, because of this fear. Now, if you understand the system of white supremacy, this makes a lot of sense. If you look around, you can see a large majority of non-white, especially black people, either dying, suffering, incarcerated. Now that is proof that we are living in a system of white supremacy. Dylan Roof also expressed this fear of white genetic annihilation when we explore his manifesto. Now, if these fears weren't a reality, I do not believe we would be experiencing massive death throughout the globe, disproportionately affecting non-white people. Now, what's really important to understand is that not all white people are racist, white supremacists. But it's even more important to understand that non-white people can and do perpetuate white supremacy. And these people often find great success in doing so. For example, when asked in this manifesto who inspired you, Tarrant responds, yes, the person that influenced me above all was Cadence Owens. Each time she spoke, I was stunned by her insights, and her own views helped push me further and further into the belief of violence over meekness. Though I will have to disavow some of her beliefs, the extreme actions she calls for are too much even for my taste. Even though Cadence Owens, end quote. So even though Cadence Owens herself is a black woman, therefore a victim of racism and white supremacy, she has clearly been able to promote white supremacist ideology, which has in turn inspired, contributed to the disturbed thinking possessed by Britain Tarrant. So this is the danger of white supremacy. It should be thought of as a sort of disease that spreads in the minds and bleeds into reality, creates the violence we see around us. Many people have been harmed. Many are to blame, but we should mostly blame the white supremacists. So, this was just episode 1. I thought it was really important to make this video because I'm tired of seeing these incidents discussed and no one is able to use the terminology racism, white supremacy. We are never going to solve any issues unless we use the language that talks about the issue correctly. So, replacing white supremacy with justice should be everyone's top priority if you want to end any major global issue, such as climate change, poverty, massive death, food shortages, etc. It can all be accomplished after we replace racism, white supremacy with a system of justice.